If you want to make more money in 2026, you're going to want to learn these 3 high income skills that every beginner entrepreneur needs to know. These skills are going to help you to blow up your business and make consistent revenue every single month. And for each skill, I'm going to recommend some resources and also actionable next steps to help you master them. By the way, if you're new here, hi, my name is Tika, and last year I quit my 9-to-5 and built a YouTube-driven business that earns triple what I used to earn in my old corporate job. Now I help other creator entrepreneurs do the same. Timestamps below as always because I value your time. The first skill you gotta learn is sales. Every successful entrepreneur out there will tell you the exact same thing that I'm about to tell you right now. And that is, sales is probably the #1 skill that you need to master, especially as a beginner entrepreneur. For me, I took a really long time to wrap my head around words like marketing and sales, and I didn't really know what any of those words meant. And so what I wanted to start off with is just to define in a very non-BS way what sales actually is. And at the core, a sale happens when someone gives you their money in exchange for some sort of value that you're giving them. So for example, let's say I have this one-to-one coaching offer for creator entrepreneurs, and then I tell someone about it and they go, oh, hey, that sounds like exactly what I need. And I tell them how much it is and they just give me their money and we start working together. That essentially is a sale. When that money hits your bank account, that is officially a sale. And now I wish that all sales conversations went as smoothly as that. Spoiler alert, it is definitely not like that most of the time. However, there are things that you can do in order to maximize the probability of that sale happening. And it's all in the way that you direct the conversation, the things that you say, the way that you package and present your offer. All of that, like basically helping the prospect or the potential client to make a decision in terms of like whether they want to buy your thing or not buy your thing. That is essentially the art of sales. So why is this skill important in business? As Michael Masterson says in Ready, Fire, Aim, which is a very good book, by the way, I would highly recommend it. He says that before your business makes its first sale, it is nothing more than a set of unproven ideas that you are spending money on. In other words, your product, your idea, or your offer is just a nice idea until someone is actually willing to pay you money for it. That is truly the ultimate test for whether your business idea is actually viable, there's actually demand for it, it's something that people actually need, and it solves a real problem, because no one's gonna part with their hard-earned money unless all of those conditions are met. Sales is really like the lifeline of your business, because when you think about it logically, if you're not making any sales, it means that you're not getting any cash into your business. And without cash coming into your business, you can't pay yourself in order to continue doing the work. And you also can't invest back into growing the business. And you can't really do much at all, honestly, which is why sales is the #1 skill that you have to learn as a new entrepreneur. So I'm going to share like how I personally learned sales and also give some recommendations of resources that you can have a look at to start learning that skill. So the way that I learned sales was through a more practical route. After I quit my 9-to-5 last year, I moved to Australia under a working holiday visa. And that meant that I could work part-time just a few days a week to earn living expenses whilst I was, growing the channel and growing the business. And it gave me more time to do so without worrying so much about money constraints. And one of the jobs that I got was as a sales rep at a gym. And I remember thinking at the time, like, the Hormozis, who are my heroes, by the way, they started off their entrepreneurial journey working at gyms and selling gym memberships too. And that was how, they learned the skill of sales. And I thought to myself, like, okay, if it turned out well for them, then surely it'll turn out well for me. Like, there's some value to be had here. Honestly, hands down, the best job that I have ever had in my life, like in terms of the transferable skills that I got from it. I've worked as so many things in the past. I worked as a chemical engineer for PepsiCo. I worked as a project manager in finance, and I've also worked as like a data analyst for an e-commerce company. I've done lots of different things, but none of those jobs, I never walked away from any of them with actual money-making skills. Whereas that part-time sales job at the gym in Australia, it gave me the foundations for sales. And like as part of that job, I got 3 days worth of free sales training. Like I was paid to learn how to do sales. It was the best thing ever. And that was where I learned like the theory and the fundamentals of it. In order to supplement that knowledge, I would listen to a bunch of podcasts on sales, how to handle objections, how to have a sales call. I've also read books on the topic too. Here's how I would recommend for anyone starting off in their journey to learn this skill. Basically, you want to understand the fundamentals first. And I know like not everyone has the opportunity to learn sales from their job, but if you can, like let's say get a job at a gym selling gym memberships or be in some sort of a sales role, it is like, the best way, I think, to learn that skill. But the next best thing that you can do is probably just like go onto Coursera or Udemy and like find a sales fundamentals course. I'll have a browse around and link a couple in the description below so you guys can like have a look. I'm not affiliated with any of these courses or getting any kickback from it, so it's purely just like to help you guys. So yeah, just learn the fundamentals first. And then secondly, what I would say is do what I did as well, which is supplement that fundamentals knowledge with podcasts and books. One book that I think really helps a lot is The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. The title literally tells you what the book is all about. It's all about the psychology of sales. What makes someone buy? Like what's going through their head before they make that transaction happen? And it's super useful, just like getting into the head of the consumer or the client. And then another really helpful book is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He used to be an FBI negotiator. What do they call it? Hostage? Yeah, hostage negotiator. It's not really a book about sales, but it is a book about trying to influence someone in order to take a particular action. And I know that sounds really like manipulative and sleazy or whatever, but it's really not. I think with sales, you got to remember that you are ultimately just wanting to help the prospect or the potential client make the best decision for them. If you genuinely believe that your product can help this person with where they're at now to get to where they want to be, I really don't think it is manipulative whatsoever if you're trying to influence them in order to work with you, because you know at the end of the day, they're going to get the transformation and the result that they've always been dreaming of. But anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, Chris Voss, the Never Split the Difference book. There's another book as well, which is, How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think that's how you say his last name. And you'll notice that all of these books that I recommended aren't exactly like hard tactics, sales frameworks or whatever, but they're more to do with human psychology. And that is because sales is ultimately an art of human psychology. If you understand how people think and how the brain works, then you will be able to master sales pretty well. The final thing I would say, and this is so crucial, is just to practice. Honestly, sales is a freaking hard skill and it's so uncomfortable. If you've never done something like this before, it feels very unnatural. You really just can't get around it. Like for me, one of the best things about the sales rep job that I did at the gym in Australia was the fact that you have so many people coming into the gym every single day inquiring about memberships and stuff. And so like the number of reps that I got every single day to strengthen that sales muscle was a lot. Like I did volumes. Every morning I would cold call 50 people to try and get them to book an appointment to come into the gym, come check it out for free. And then every day we would have maybe 3 to 5 appointments of people wanting to check out the gym, and then you're meant to tour them around, present them with the price and the options, eventually try to get them to buy a membership. And so by doing that again and again and again, you start to see that the conversations will fall into certain patterns. Like it follows a pretty standard blueprint. You know how to handle certain objections like, oh, I need to think about it, or like, oh, that's kind of like out of my budget, or I need to go talk to my partner about this first. The same things will crop up again and again. And then with each and every time that it happens, you will learn how to handle those objections. And so what I say is, it's gonna feel shit at the beginning. You're gonna be really bad. You might not close any sales, but just keep practicing. The second skill is to know how to make good content. In order for people to buy your stuff, they first need to know about it. The way that people predominantly find out about things nowadays is through digital media and through the internet. And content is a massive part of that. And this skill is super important in business because every single person consumes 1,000 pieces of content on a daily basis or something crazy. And so that's why content has a lot of power over us. It influences our buying decisions. It influences our thought patterns, behaviors, and our beliefs. And ultimately, if you're not leveraging content in 2026 as a business owner, then you will get left behind. Content is the way that you build trust with someone. And when you really think about it, a transaction only really happens when there is trust. Because if someone doesn't trust that what you're offering is actually gonna help them or is actually gonna work as they expect it to, then of course they're not gonna buy. For example, let's say you wanted to go and buy a vacuum cleaner and you had the option to buy this vacuum cleaner from Dyson, and it's got a pretty good rep. It's a very reputable brand and there's a lot of good reviews from people know and trust it, and you see a Dyson store where it's presented very nicely and very professionally. And then you have option B, which is you buy this vacuum cleaner from an unknown brand and it's from this online store with just 2 reviews. It looks like it's gonna fall apart at any second. Obviously, you're gonna go and buy the Dyson because you know and trust it. You know it's gonna work. And so content allows us to build that trust with someone, especially long form. YouTube is like the holy grail for all business owners because on no other platform will you be able to build this level of deep connection with someone, because we're spending so much time together through this platform. Whereas like, you've got Instagram and TikTok, each reel is like what, 30 to 60 seconds. It's not nearly enough for you to be able to build that relationship. Like you'd need to be doing volumes of reels and TikToks to reach the same level of trust that one single YouTube video can. Another thing is that content also helps you to build authority in your space. It allows you to showcase your expertise, build your credibility, because you can show that you've actually achieved the thing that you're promising, and you're also showing how you've helped other people to achieve that dream outcome. So with my content journey, I was posting on YouTube for a year and a half before I officially started my very first business. And I just want to say that content is not a get rich quick scheme. You will not get rich overnight from this because it takes time to build an audience, also build trust with that audience, learn how to make good videos in the first place. And so the way that I learned was, number one, just like getting the reps in, starting, because most people don't even starting with making videos, getting better, like 1% better with each and every one that I posted. I was like starting off with learning from all of these free YouTube videos, Think Media, Vanessa Lau, Ali Abdal even. And so learning from all of these people how to make good content. And then I would listen to a lot of podcasts. And then eventually I did invest in like a self-paced digital course on how to make good YouTube videos. That really helped me a lot. And so I would recommend anyone who wants to make good content to pretty much do exactly what I did. Consume a lot of free resources online, get started and get going, because most people don't even get started. And if you're already posting content consistently and you want immediate fast ways to elevate your content, number one, I would start off with elevating your equipment. So audio, camera, and lighting. That is very low hanging fruit. And trust me, like you don't need to have like the best specs or like the best tech in order to make good videos. Like that's not the most important thing, but that is one quick low hanging fruit way to sort of like elevate your content immediately. And so with tech, I would just recommend going on YouTube and finding free videos teaching you about, what equipment would be good to use. And I'll put a screenshot of all the gear that I am currently using right now, just to help you guys out. No affiliate links because I just can't be bothered. With visuals, it's also really important to improve your backdrop, because when you have a very aesthetic and very professional looking setting, that subconsciously helps to build credibility, because then in people's minds, they're thinking, oh, this is someone that I can trust. They look pretty polished. They look like they've got their shit together. Again, it's not the most important thing, but it does help to immediately elevate your content. The second thing I would recommend to do, and to be honest, this is the more important part, is to focus on the packaging of your videos. Every YouTuber will know that your title, thumbnail, and hook is the 20% of your inputs. That's gonna give you 80% of your results on this platform. And so for me, like that's why I always prioritize packaging first before I even write a word of my script. Because if no one is clicking on your videos, they're not going to be able to experience the value and get all the information, like all the good stuff that you're providing. Finally, I would say is to work on your personal branding. And no, I don't mean your logo and your brand colors and things like that, which, like is kind of important-ish, but really not as important as this. A personal brand is essentially how you showcase yourself in order to build trust with your audience. And so this is essentially like, what are you known for? What things do people associate with you? So for example, when people think of online business or creator business, I want them to think of me. That is the branding that I'm trying to build. And so with you, like you got to think, what is that thing that you want to be known for? Your personal brand is going to help you turn into the obvious choice in someone's mind when they're thinking of who they want to work with. And if you're a creator who has been posting consistently for a while on YouTube and you want to build a business from your channel, but you just have no clue how, I do have a one-to-one coaching program called The Creator CEO. And it's essentially designed to help you build a lifestyle business from your channel that funds your freedom so you can quit your 9-to-5 and do work that you love. So if you want to find out more about that, you can check it out in the link in the description below. The third skill is writing and storytelling. Writing and storytelling is your ability to communicate clearly, persuasively, and memorably. It's more than just putting words on a page. It's about crafting messages that your audience actually cares about and keeps them hooked while also delivering real value. For any creator business to thrive, you need to be able to do these three things. Number one, you need to be able to write great newsletters that people look forward to opening every single week. Number two is you need to be writing good scripts and writing good content that keeps people hooked, because we all know on YouTube, audience retention is super, super important. And then thirdly, you want to be able to tell stories that people can relate to and people can feel inspired by. That is exactly how people are gonna connect with you and your brand and your content. So I'm gonna break down why all of these are super, super important. With writing great newsletter articles, this is another way for you to build a deeper connection with your audience beyond your free content. It is essentially the connective tissue between your YouTube videos and your offers that you're providing in the back end. And so it's super key in terms of converting viewers into paid clients. For context, around 60 to 70% of Ali Abdaal's revenue actually comes from his newsletter. And so that's why every well-written newsletter article is essentially a way to drive more sales to your business. And then secondly, with writing great video scripts, this is how you are going to deliver value effectively. Because when you have like a good flow, everything's structured nicely, your content makes sense, and you're actually packing value into what you're saying, then it's more entertaining and engaging for the viewer, which, number one, helps with audience retention, but also number two, it helps to build your authority. It helps you to showcase your expertise. This is what is gonna make people believe that you know what you're talking about. And once they believe you, that is when they will actually invest in your offers. Finally, with good storytelling, I would say that this is arguably the most important yet most difficult skill to master as a business owner. You might be thinking like, what does storytelling have anything to do with business? Like, who am I, JK Rowling all of a sudden? Let me tell you, storytelling is everything. Storytelling is how you get people to actually care about what you're saying, what you're teaching, who you are. The number one way that you differentiate yourself from other people in the space doing the exact same thing. Because anyone can just come onto YouTube and start teaching 5 steps to losing belly fat or 10 steps to launching your first business. Like literally we're all saying the same stuff. The only way that you can survive in this space, the only way that you're gonna differentiate yourself that makes you the obvious choice for someone to work with is if you actually bring your unique personal stories into the mix. When you share your origin story of like where you came from, when you started from point A and how you got to point B, all the obstacles that you had to go through in order to reach the dream transformation that you've achieved now. That is gonna help people to relate to you. And trust me, relatability is probably the most underrated thing and the most overlooked thing when, business owners start creating content. Because when people can see themselves in you and in your stories, they can relate to you, and then that will make them feel like, oh, that transformation is also possible for me because someone who kind of looks like me and sounds like me and has a similar background to me was able to do that thing. And so it kind of makes me believe that I can do that thing too. If you're coming onto this platform and saying like, yeah, I achieved success from day one, I am a millionaire with this Lamborghini and this Rolex watch, and you've achieved all the things, right? You're gonna be like up here to the viewer. Whereas like most people are still down here, still trying to make it work. And if they see that, they're gonna feel so discouraged because they think, okay, all I'm seeing is this massive gap between where I am and where this ideal person is or this ideal situation is. And so when you actually share your origin story and tell them like, hey, you know what? I actually started from here. I started exactly where you are right now. And then these were all of the obstacles and things that I had to overcome in my journey to ultimately get to this point after years and years of trial and error. Like suddenly that jump doesn't feel impossible anymore because people can clearly see like how you got from point A to point B. And when people believe that a certain transformation is possible for them, that's gonna make them more likely to take action, to actually follow your tips and your advice, and most importantly, to actually believe in you and start working with you. Second thing I would highly recommend to do is just to research what the hero's journey is. And essentially it is the ultimate storytelling blueprint. Every blockbuster movie that you've ever seen, every TV show that you love, and every successful brand campaign uses this exact framework. It's literally everywhere because it works. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that helped you. And if you're a creator and you're wanting to learn more about, ways that you can monetize your channel and start making money online, even as a complete beginner, I do have a video where I walk you through easiest ways to make 5K a month as a small creator. So you can check that out on the screen here. Okay guys, take care and see you in the next video.